Ready, Maureen? All right, good evening. It is now 6:04 on September 9th. This is the regularly scheduled meeting of the Sandwich Board of Appeals. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The Board of Appeals is comprised of 5 regular members and 1 alternate member. The Board of Appeals can have up to 4 alternate members. Any decision of this board requires a 2/3 vote. 2/3 of 5 is 4. Only 4 members vote. The vote would have to be unanimous. If 5 members vote, 1 member could dissent. This meeting is live and streamed on Sandwich Community Television's website and on local channel 9. The meeting is being recorded and will be available on SCTV website at www.sandwichtv.org tomorrow. The board asks that if anyone is recording this meeting, please notify the chair. I don't see anyone recording, so we're good to go. Okay. Can I get an approval of the draft minutes for July 22nd and August 26, 2025?
Motion to approve the minutes as written.
You want to do those individually? I wasn't here for the 22nd.
Okay.
Okay.
Motion to approve the minutes from the 22nd as written.
Okay. All in favor? Aye. And again for the August and June abstained. August 26 minutes, 2025.
So moved as written.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. First item on the agenda and only item on the agenda for the evening is old business 25-09, 101 North Shore Boulevard, special permit Forbes continued for the purpose of demolition and construction in the floodplain. This public hearing remains open. I missed the meeting on August 26th, but I have listened to the tape and signed the affidavit allowing me to participate and deliberate on the matter. I'd like to just acknowledge documents that were received from Brian Wall and Ann Shevitz. Letter to the ZBA from Brian Wall dated August 19th. And sample height of homes on North Shore Boulevard as well as side view of houses on the North Shore Boulevard submitted by Ann. I'd like to also acknowledge 4 public comment emails from Ellen, and don't mind me, Zanowski, 3 dated August 22nd, 2025, and 1 dated August 23rd, 2025, which was received by the Planning Department on August 25th, 2025, all of which were included in the board's August 26th, 25 meeting packet. All the board members just confirmed that you've received it and that you were able to read it.
Yes.
Okay, everybody? Everybody received them and read them? Okay. I'm going to open the matter up to Steve to start with an update on this permit, and we'll go from there.
So as you mentioned, we received updated information in the form of some photographs from properties in the vicinity, as well as I've got some high resolution plans that I can project for you to support the discussion. Further that, the property remains as proposed. We had discussions about height and some aspects of the proposal that I think will be fleshed out this evening.
Okay. Ian, do you have any other comments to make just on your side?
No.
Nothing at this point, okay? Attorney Wall and Ann, we'll open it up to you two.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the record, I'm Brian Wall, an attorney here in town, and with me is Ann McNevich. We represent the applicants Matthew and April Forbes. They are the owners of the property at 101 North Shore Boulevard. We were here back on August 12th, so I will not represent. I'm sure it's pretty fresh in everybody's mind. But I just wanted to refresh your memory that we are seeking a special permit under 1330 and 2420 to alter or change a pre-existing non-conforming structure. And we're seeking a floodplain overlay district special permit. Essentially, the proposal is to demolish the 2 existing cottages on the property and replace them with 1 single-family dwelling. In addition, there's a proposal to demolish the existing garage, which is set back 6.2 feet from the street, and replace it with a shed that is set back 55.6 feet. The dwelling will increase the overall footprint by 546 square feet, or about 47%. It will be elevated on piles above the dune. We're going to talk a little bit about that tonight. The non-conforming front yard setback of 6.2 is being improved. The non-conformity of 2 single-family dwelling units on one lot is being eliminated, and the new dwelling will comply with the height requirements. And again, we're going to talk about that a little bit in more detail. There were several comments raised by the board at the last hearing on August 12th, and so we requested a continuance. And this is actually the next hearing because there was a quorum issue here and there, and we asked for further continuances, which we appreciate. So regarding the comments, I'm going to address 3 or 4 of them, and then Ann will address a few. So there was a question from Mr. Terrio about the amount of fill. And so what Ann did was Ann talked to the Conservation Commission administrator how she was going to administer this in the field. And there was a calculation performed that the fill is approximately 70 cubic yards. And that is essentially to fill the 2 holes that will be left from the removal of the 2 existing structures and to shape the dune. And also you might recall that there's currently an existing concrete retaining wall that the Conservation Commission wanted removed. And that's going to require that there be sloped sand to make the natural slope back again. So the 70 cubic yards is going to be used in those 3 different areas and 3 different purposes. There was a question from Mr. Corain about lot coverage, and I regret that I wasn't able to answer that more quickly. I was looking on the plan and I couldn't seem to find my place at the time. I should have recalled that there's actually no lot coverage requirements because we're in the shore district. And so when you look at the zoning bylaw, it says that there's no requirement. And the plan does show, and it says maximum lot coverage as none and existing and proposed as non-applicable. There was a comment made about the proposed boardwalk. So the current property has concrete walkways that are in and around the existing dwellings. The new proposal is to have a boardwalk that's going to come down, and I say a boardwalk, it's really an elevated stairway is what it is. And so we have a couple of comments about how to address that. And I think the comment was that it could be considered to be a new structure and it does not comply with the front yard setback and we might need a variance. One way to look at this would be that there's an existing garage at 6.2 feet from the setback from the front road. And also there's an existing elevated walkway which is remaining, which is set back from the road about 1 foot. And so the new boardwalk will be set back farther than all of these. So one way to look at this is it's not creating any kind of new conformity. It's not increasing any nonconformity that already currently exists. A second way to look at it would be that it's actually not a structure. And the way that I would like to make that argument is the bylaw does define structure. And I won't read the whole definition, but essentially what it says is anything constructed or erected that requires a fixed location on the ground. It says including all buildings, billboards, towers, swimming pools, or the like, but not including paving, usual lawn accessories, fences, or retaining walls. Now the boardwalk is elevated and it's fixed to the ground, so it could technically be considered to be a structure, but I would like to make the argument that it's unlike the type of structures that are listed in the definition, and it's more like a lawn fixture or a fence or a retaining wall. And again, it's because the Conservation Commission is requiring this to be elevated above the dune. And I would also like to point out, some of you still were on the board, I think at the time, but many years ago, I don't want to admit how many, but I had a case involving a situation in Town Neck where on one of those small lots, a property owner had hired a contractor to build a stone patio in one of those, they're kind of trendy now, but fireplaces and kitchens that are made of mortar and concrete and then have a brick facade. And it was within the setback, and there was an issue with one of the neighbors. And so I was representing the property owner and the contractor, and this board decided that that item was a lawn feature and not a structure. Do you remember that one? And so I would respectfully submit that an elevated boardwalk as shown on the plan required by conservation could be considered by the board not to be a structure. And finally, the last argument, which the applicant really doesn't want, but if you look at the plan really closely, this is the access to the house. And so it's actually connected to the house. And there's one part of the path that is called proposed ground level gravel walkway. We could make that wood, although we would kind of run into a problem with the conservation because it has to be elevated. But then it would be completely connected to the house, and it could therefore be considered part of the house. And so I've got all these different arguments for you to consider that we don't actually need a variance for the boardwalk. We would respectfully ask you to consider that. And having said all of that, I'm available for questions, and Ann wants to talk about a couple of the other comments that the board raised.
Ann, you want to just
Okay,
start, and then
good.
we'll let the board ask their questions.
Okay, first I want to clarify, Chase, we were looking at that site plan, and you could see the contour line 22, but I considered the contour to be 23 plus some change. So I submitted the existing plan, so the houses cover the whole lot, so they couldn't actually survey. So they surveyed in the thresholds. And if you look on the plan, the existing plan with the two buildings, one of the thresholds at 24 and the sand is about 8 inches lower. The other threshold is at 23.6 and the sand's about 6 feet low. So it runs between 23.1 and 23.3. So then we go up from there, from that point. In actuality, too, we have to have a 2-foot clearance, but a lot of people don't like how high we go because it's a lot of steps to get down. So sometimes we adjust it if the sand is actually lower, we would adjust it and cut the piles a little shorter. But we have to have the 2-foot difference. And that's taking the elevation of where the houses are because we're basically going back into the sand.
Okay, I saw the note as well from.
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to explain it because it's
clarified,
confusing.
I think it was in the conditions from conservation as well.
Yeah,
as
but
far as-
once I went back and looked at the
existing.
plan, it gets a little messy because there's so much on these plans. And then I had the picture you saw with the thresholds.
Yes,
Okay,
appreciate it.
all right, okay, good, so we're good there. The other issue was, neighbor raised the thing about the 4 or the 5 bedrooms. So that's never on me because what happens is I go into these buildings and measure them way before I start working on them because I have to be in there before the rodents come. I'm highly allergic. So I'd gone in and measured, took my notes, and then didn't start this for 3-4 months later. So then the first thing I have to do, as far as the bedrooms are concerned, I have to look up on the town website, the assessor map, the field card, and see how many bedrooms do we have. And of course, I can never increase it. So I had written down the front room as a bedroom, but it's just how I labeled it then. And I knew I couldn't have more than 4 bedrooms total, which is what we have. But that was just how I labeled it for that. And then we got here, I didn't even remember that there was a difference until it became an issue. Okay?
Gotcha.
I just want to clarify that, all right? Then we talked about heights of buildings, 3-story buildings, all that kind of stuff. So I have a board here. So when you're designing these, I have to be 2 feet above the sand, and that governs the pile. And then I can be so much over that. So this particular house is only 2 feet off the ground. And then we went up to 33.6. There's other ones, 2 over has 2 huge buildings on it. He's 33 and 8 inches, but they're 10 feet off the ground, some of these buildings. So it looks even bigger. So you have to take the whole picture of the house. We also talked about, all of a sudden there's 3-story houses, but it's not all of a sudden. The first one down there was 2002. I'll show you here. So what I did was, all the ones that I kind of know what the heights are and when they were built. So this one here was done in 2002, and that's got 3 stories. This is 2005, that's 3 stories. These, that one's side by side, they're both 3 stories. This is 2016, this is 2025. And then one of the new ones so we're right next to this house. These 2 big houses are on the same lot, and that's a 3-story house, one over from him. So as far as height and things, we can't control everything on the height because we're forced up. We can only control what we go up from there. But you can't say, like, this one here is only 25 feet off of the piles, but it's got 10 feet of piles sticking out. So is that going to look any higher than mine? I don't think so. You know what I mean? So I just wanted to clarify that. It's not something new. It's been going on for a long time. Anybody have any questions on that one?
I don't think it answers the question that that I had relative to if you were to create a horizon above those dunes where all those houses are, how is this house going to compare to the other houses there? Because if you move that house forward towards the road, it wouldn't be as high as it is now. You've got it at the highest point of the lot, right? At the highest point of the dune, you've got it up as high as it can possibly go. And I'm curious as to how, if you were to draw some kind of horizon line, how does it compare to other houses in the area?
Well, this one over here is pretty close. The dune height is pretty close to what, because we're only over here.
Pretty close doesn't tell me anything.
And generally, I have restrictions, so I can never go closer to the ocean than I already am. And then I got septic systems and everything else coming into play. So the septic system on this particular one is right off of the porch. So that's not allowing me to go this way because we got to service that tank. Because we're only 2 feet off. If we were 10 feet off, we could. But if you start putting this house further to the street, it's going to look bigger than it's going to look. I mean, take this one.
My only question, I think we had asked the town planner to communicate with Attorney Wall's office after we were here on the last meeting when we continued the hearing at your request. And I was curious to know what the height of these buildings are in comparison to the road. So that would actually give me something to compare this house to. How do the other houses in the neighborhood relate to the height from the road as compared to this one? And they may all be the same. I'm not questioning. I just want to know if it's consistent, basically, or compatible with everything else we have. And I think the only way you can measure that is if you measured the height of this building from the road.
Well, let's take this one, the one done in 2005. The road's down here, and that is on one of the highest parts of the dune. And there you are. You've got a 3-story one. There's a lot more going on when you start placing these houses on these lots, because I have one hand tied behind me.
I don't dispute that. But my question is, how does it compare? If we're talking about impact on the neighborhood and compatibility with the neighborhood, how does the height of this building compare with other buildings that are in the immediate area? That's the only question I had, and that's the only thing I'm trying to get at. If it's consistent, fine, it's consistent. But if it sticks up like a sore thumb, then it's not consistent. That's the only question that I have. And I'm trying to get to that, and I'm not able to get to it. But I understand that there's got to be 30 some odd feet between the bottom of the first floor and the roof. And you gave us all that information, but based upon the ground conditions out there, that didn't tell me anything.
Well, except for if you look, you start looking at the ones that are in the background, they're at the highest of the dune. It's pretty consistent out there when you push back. When you get closer to the street, now you're this one here, that's forced up, because when you get closer to the street, now you're getting close to the velocity zone. Now I got to crank it up above that, where the velocity zone doesn't come into play with these and what I just did, because we're at a higher elevation. So something's going to push you up. But I would say these are pretty consistent out there as far as the elevation, give or take a foot or two.
That 2022 building that you're pointing at closest to the street doesn't look any higher than the building that's behind it.
I think it's because of the angle, it's actually higher.
What's
This
the-
one-
Can you tell me what the height is of that building if you measured it from the street?
Let's see, the front building is 30, why am I get them mixed up here? Well, this is an interesting one that you pick on this one. So this is 30 feet, 9 3/4 from the top of pile, and there's at least 6 feet of pile showing. But this house was built too low. They had to get a variance from the state,
How high is it if you
so it would have been
measured it?
higher.
Is top of pile, that velocity elevation, I think was is it 19? So,
Yeah, but that doesn't, I'll tell you the truth, velocity doesn't come into play unless you're along the road. By the time you get up to the elevation of these, you're pushed back enough that they're up on the dune, so that doesn't come into play.
it's kind of, it sounds like an if then, so if you are lower than 19 feet
Right.
measured from sea level, you're on a pile of X dimension.
I
They're
have
all
to-
different, but
Right.
your benchmark becomes at 19. If you have the luxury
Correct.
if your lot happens to be 20 feet in that top of dune, right, then that affords you essentially that
No.
that 2 foot delta above existing.
Well, it would because
Right.
you're forced to it.
But-
But if I design something, I have to go by the minimum top of pile that I have to be. So on the one I'm doing now, I can't just say the top of pile is going to be 35, it's going to be 38 feet. No, you can't do that. You got to take it down to what your minimum is.
Which is either 19 feet if
Yep.
if the existing elevation is below it, or whatever the lot happens to be that's
Right.
above that.
So generally speaking, having been doing this for 40 years, the front ones, these are all back. But say like this one, the elevation of the velocity zone, this is not, it used to be 2 feet, they just went up to 3 feet. But this is not 2 feet above velocity zone. It violates code, but they got a variance for it. So the back ones, it's not an issue because the sand is at such a high elevation that the 2 foot off the sand is what governs. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, for we'll say bottom member, and I think where Kevin's going is, I don't know, is it fair that if my lot happens to be at 23 and my neighbor's at 17, is it, should
Yeah.
the neighborhood have some level of consistency? Which.
Well, you're going up the dune though, you know what I mean?
Sure,
So,
I mean, I think that's where you're going, Kevin, is like, I think it's
If you built that three-story structure.
subject to which way
You contend it's only 2.5 stories. But if you build that three-story structure in the location where the garage is currently located, and you build that three-story structure where you're proposing to build it, is it higher than where the building would be if you built it where the garage is?
it depends on where the sand is. So, yeah, so like, let's use these two on the same lot, okay? You can see that this is top of pile right here. Because they had to get above 16, which they didn't, but let's pretend it's where it's supposed to be. This one, the sand would govern more.
So it would be higher.
Would be higher, but this is gonna look higher. Like this looks higher, this one, because there's so much pile exposed. That's gonna look higher than what the new one will be, because it's only 2 feet. It's like these here.
I'm not interested in how it what
We're
looks
talking
like.
about aesthetics.
I'm interested in how high it is, and as compared to other structures in the area. If you're looking at the issue of substantial detriment to the neighborhood, does it stick out like a sore thumb or doesn't it? I guess that's the question. That's what my concern is boiling down to.
I would say these are basically within 2-3 feet of each other.
So the new structure would be within 2 or 3 feet of the existing ones?
Right, of the back ones, yeah. Yeah, I mean, this one just looks bigger.
So did that answer your question, if it's within 2 to 3 feet?
It answers my question, and we'll see what it looks like when it's built.
Right. Just remember, when they're first built, they look much bigger, and that's the situation over here, because it's new wood. Once that's only about 1.5 feet taller than this one. It's just because the dune was higher and pushed me up a little bit. And then now they changed the 3 feet too.
For my own measuring mind here, but if you were working from the velocity zone elevation,
Yep.
19, right, and our max height is 35, you'd have as measured from sea level, top of building would be no more than 54 per bylaw, right? 35 and 19.
Yeah. Yeah, okay.
I think the math I'm seeing is because we're now starting at 25, right? 2 feet above 23, 25 and 35, we're going to what essentially will be 60 feet as opposed to probably the majority of that neighborhood that's starting from 19, right? So it's probably
No,
4
the
or
other
5
ones-
feet.
The only ones that I really start at 19 are the ones across the street. Because it's much flatter over there, and this is a,
Wouldn't it be everything that's on stilts there?
no, say like this one here, see this one here? The lot is very, very flat. So what I had to do there was figure out the velocity governed in the 2 foot mark governed. They just wouldn't coincide. Normally, if it's on the other side of the street, I'm above 19 already before I even start.
Based on the existing elevation. Yeah,
But
I mean,
I think you gotta look at the architecture too, because obviously when you get something like this and this, it looks huge because of the piles. So aesthetically, a house that's lower to the ground is gonna not look as obtrusive.
Yeah, I know, I follow you on the perspective side.
Yeah.
I was just looking at it as pure
mean-
measured elevation. That, to me, is what this comes down to. is
Right, so like this one
60
here,
feet seem,
this one is,
unacceptable. I
So
don't know.
Chase is saying that this building's gonna be 62 feet above sea level at the rooftop. That's what you're saying, Chase, right?
I think it was it no more than 35? I forget.
35 is the
33 and a
max.
half feet above the piles.
Aisle starting at 25, so we're at
25 and a half.
58 and a half, 50-ish,
Yeah.
58 and a half.
So you're 60 feet, you're telling me, you're making a representation here tonight that the other buildings that are in that area, in that neighborhood, are all in the vicinity of 58 to 60 feet above sea level.
yeah, when you look at this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one's pretty close.
I guess we'll just have to see if, when it's built, just whether or not what's being represented is actually what takes place.
Right, so I went and checked, all the elevations and stuff in order to prepare this.
Right, but I didn't see any of that in the information you provided. You provided us with information indicating that it was built consistent with the building code, so many 30 feet between pile.
I gave you
But it didn't
this.
tell us anything about the height of the building if you were looking at it from the street or from sea level.
Well, the only other thing I'd say, it's never come up in all the ones I've done out there, this issue has never come up, and they all basically kind of look the same. It depending on where in the dune you are.
I mean, I'm willing to take you at your word, I believe you have a degree of credibility that, and I'm willing to accept that. I guess we'll see when it's built, just whether or not it is consistent with other things in the neighborhood.
Fine with that?
Is that elevation fair?
Yeah.
Approximate,
So
above, right, 58
Yeah,
and a
don't
half.
quote me on math. I went to law school because I'm not good at it. But I think that I agree with you because also if you look at the plan, the street, there's a benchmark in the street that says it's elevation 9.43. And then the V zone is 16, which you add 3, and that's where you get your 19.
Yeah.
Right. So if a house were to be built, say in the front where the parking area is, close to elevation of the street, that's elevation 10, you would have to go up to 19, and then you could theoretically request the board to go up 35 feet more than that, which gets you to around 55, and this would be 65 above the,
I think we're at
from sea level.
25 and 33, right?
25 and a half.
So
plus
58.
I'm gonna rely on you on this one, Chase, when it comes
25 and a half plus.
comes to the math,
33.
because that's why I went to law school too.
I'm not joking.
Yeah, I'm 58 and a half, call it 59, so it's.
Right, so 54 to 59, it's higher, but I think Ann makes a good point too, is that if you project forward in this neighborhood, you're gonna have a mixture of locations and heights, and the ones that are gonna be on the road are gonna have that facade of the pilings, where this one is absolutely higher, but qualitatively it fits in on the landscape better. So I think we're talking about differences of a few feet here, as opposed to sticking out like a sore thumb.
Well, I guess the question is, does 4 feet or 5 feet stick out like a sore thumb or not? I guess that's the one.
Depends on where you're standing.
I guess.
I mean, I'm just over 5, so that's the difference.
Yeah, but you
Not
don't
much.
take, you don't take up as much space as that building.
Well, don't forget too, you're also talking about the ridge, Kevin. So like when you look at this house, the roof lines are coming down pretty quickly. So it's not like you're looking at a 3-story house with a flat roof, which isn't allowed, but you know what I mean? It's not this big block. It has some dimension to it. And the slopes make a big difference. And hopefully aesthetically, it looks good.
Maybe that's a bylaw change that we have to think about.
And can I say something about that too? I might have mentioned this the last time too, because different towns do deal with this differently, and I know I mentioned it now because I hear it in my head coming out. So Sandwich has chosen to say that there's a 35-foot height requirement, but if you have to put your house on piles because of flood zones or elevations, then you get that 35 feet from the top of the pile. Whereas, for example, Mashpee, it's an absolute 35 feet. And so you have to, if you have to elevate your house, you have to include that and deal with that in the house. And so, in the height. So, you know, if there is kind of, I know that, I think those are the abutters behind us. If there's neighbors that are upset with this, we're just kind of trying to play by the rules. And maybe the town might want to consider changing those rules, and then we'll obviously play by those rules. So that because we were trying to design something consistent with what's out there and what's been approved in the past.
So we talk about the 60%. I know Ms. Zandowski was questioning, should we change to 60%? Well, their house is 59.6%. They took the max. This one's 47.53. We could have actually gone bigger.
The increase.
The increase of
size.
60%.
The reason I asked about the lot coverage, even though there is no lot coverage requirement out there, was to get some feel for how much bigger and how much more lot this covers than the existing one.
So I think these are the figures, Kevin, that we're telling you, so that when I was given my presentation, so the raw change is 546 additional square feet. And as Anna said, that's 47% more than the 2 cottages combined currently. So it is an increase, there's no doubt about it, so.
Plus, too, I want to note, when you look at this picture that was submitted, the property next to the one where we're putting one house back, not 2. Then there's the next lot over to the left has 2, and the next one over has those 2 mega ones. So as far as being in keeping with the neighborhood, I think we're less overwhelming because we're only going to one building, which conservation is very excited about, as opposed to 2, less people on the dune.
Any other questions from the board?
I believe in the variance is still required for that raised
Well, I guess we can discuss that
walkway, so I guess that's an issue.
during the deliberation. You have nothing further to offer on that, on the
No,
What
we'd be interested to hear what the board feels about that, and then we'll try to deal with it appropriately, see what we can do about it.
Because I too have a hard time looking at that as anything about a structure. And I remember the discussion we had with the fireplace, and it's
Yep.
really kind of different than this itself. So we can certainly have that. conversation. It won't be, because it's not attached to the house, that's the one there.
So if you look at, Mr. Killian, it comes out of the house, it's attached, and then due to the grade, I can point it out to you.
There's a break in it.
If I could show you. So it comes out of the house here, but then there's a part here where it's gravel, and then it continues down to here. And the commission requires everything to be elevated.
Yeah.
So maybe we could redesign it, but it's all tied to the elevation, so it could be kind of difficult to do that. And so I'd be interested to hear a little feedback from the board if the board would be so inclined, because maybe what we could do is withdraw that from the project so that it's not denied based on that basis and then come back. But we're really kind of boxed in because we need access and the commission requires it to be elevated. There's no way around that.
I guess the only feedback you really need is it a structure or isn't it? And if the board determines it is a structure, then it violates the front yard setback. So what steps can you take to make sure that it is not a structure in and of itself? And I guess you attach it to the building, that might be your solution. But currently, as I see it, it's a standalone, freestanding structure. It's at a fixed location on the ground, and it meets the definition of the bylaw.
Can I ask a question?
And I don't believe I'm the only one that feels that way.
Well, what's the difference between the other walkway and this one? That other
Sure.
walkway goes closer to the street.
What other walkway are you talking about?
Well, there's an
there,
existing walkway
existing.
there that's,
That's just a paved surface, or?
No,
it's an elevated
elevated.
walkway, yeah.
it services the other two houses.
But that's already an existing condition.
Right, and we're not changing that, right, yeah.
You're talking about it, you're not using that walkway, you're creating a brand new walkway, which is a brand new structure, and, I mean, I'm only one of five, so that's my feeling. The other walkway is on a different lot at this juncture, right?
No,
No, it's on the
It's
same
on the
lot.
same lot.
It's on the
You're not
same-
using that walkway anymore?
no, I consider it very dangerous. It's, you start walking down it and I'm taking off as I'm going down, and that's with me not carrying anything.
It's not stairs, it's like a ramp.
And it doesn't meet any code requirements, and it's narrow. And the other two houses on a Saturday, everybody's using it, and it's very narrow. But I find it very unsafe.
Kevin, if they attached it to the building, would that kind of, the variance would go away?
I guess it would be part of it, it would be part of the non-conforming structure that's being replaced as opposed to a separate distinct structure, I guess you could have.
And you said that was an option, although the owner wasn't thrilled by it, but,
So, right, currently, it's all one walkway. You will go down a set of wooden stairs onto some gravel, so I guess there's nothing there fixed to the ground, and then it continues on. We could talk to the engineer,
Yeah, I could get the engineer to change that.
to see, but I'm just struggling because it has to be elevated to meet conservation.
Why not create a platform that would, the
Yeah, we-
stairs from the building would attach to a platform,
Yeah.
which would then be attached to the walkway.
It would be almost like a bridge, like you would come down to a landing, then step up and go across that, and then step down and then go down.
Eliminate a couple of
Yeah, I'm sure
stairs.
the engineer could go
Yeah.
and figure that out. So
We could-
if the board is of like mind on this issue, we can either request another continuance and redesign this, or maybe you could attach it as a condition that says that the walkway must be one uniform structure connected to the house. So I'm sure the engineer can figure that out.
what do you think the next step should be? Should we continue, or should we get an updated drawing? Because the drawing as it exists isn't going to be part of an approved special permit.
I suppose you could approve everything except the walkway if you wanted to go that route, but,
Where does that leave them though? Is it just an accessory to the structure that they can build by right?
that's, would then they need a variance at that juncture,
Well,
right?
I'm just saying if it's attached to the structure, is it saying they could do?
Yeah, if we're considering the structure as a pre-existing non-conforming entity, which is allowed to be rebuilt, provided we make a finding that it's not substantially more detrimental, and you have the walkway attached to the structure. I guess it is, something that, would be part of the structure at that juncture.
Yes, so not more detrimental. You would consider that a structure or so, yeah. So it's a question of if you're comfortable conditioning it to that degree, or saying, well, we want to see the drawing first.
I prefer to have it all tied up in a bow.
Okay.
And see the revised drawing, so that if we approve a special permit and a variance is not required, we've got the proper permit or the proper drawing on file.
Okay, so it sounds like that's the solution.
But we have to open it up to the public. Any other questions?
Just
Anybody? Well, go ahead.
Is the walkway attached to the shed?
I don't know.
Yes, you can get off, yeah, because they don't want you, the idea is you can't be walking on the sand.
Yeah, it looks like it's attached to the shed.
Okay.
Yeah, it comes right up to the shed.
They don't want you walking on the dune, basically.
Gotcha. Thanks.
So we'll just do a platform over, maybe eliminate a couple stairs so the elevations work.
Anybody from the public wish to speak to this? Could you please just state your name and your address, please?
I'm Ellen Zanowski, 89 North Shore.
I'm sorry I had trouble with your name.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Ellen Zanowski, 89 North Shore Boulevard.
And your question or comment? I mean, we did review your message.
No, and I truly appreciate the time that you have given this, the questions that you have asked, and taking into consideration our concerns. And if anything, in my opinion, I think it's opened the dialogue and the conversation for possibly future demolitions and constructions along 89 North Shore Boulevard. I have a personal interest in the area because I grew up attending family vacations with my family, and I now today am fortunate to be able to share that with my family. And I understand that change occurs, time progresses, and things change. But I guess what I'm wondering is the need for a 3-story structure. I wonder why that a reasonably sized home cannot be built within 2 stories. And I think too, when you're dealing with a restricted lot size, that we have to take into consideration what is going in. My understanding is this home is approximately 1695 square feet of habitable living space. But I'm also curious as to what the total square footage would be upon completion of this home.
We don't know that number.
We don't know that number. This is my husband, Tom, and we're about being able to build a reasonably sized home, preferably 2 stories, within the restricted area that you have. We're about the consideration of our surrounding neighbors and the impact that it has on their properties and our property. And we're also about preserving the coastal landscape. Whatever decision is rendered and whatever the outcome is, I do hope that the conversation continues and the dialogue remains open for future homes. And I just basically want to say I thank you for reviewing the letters that I wrote, taking the time to address it, and again, to just open up the conversation and dialogue. And I truly appreciate that, and I thank you for it.
You're welcome. Yes, sir.
If I could just add one thing, I'm Tom Sanowski, 89 North Shore. During the dialogue that went back and forth about the height and what would be its, how would it look relative to other homes, from an engineering perspective, I kind of think of a very simple solution. You could have a drone fly along the coast at a constant altitude and see what houses there are, and you could see the peaks and the valleys, and then you could, when you get to the place of where this proposed building would be, you'd be able to see what's around it. It isn't a hard thing to do, I don't think. I don't think that's asking a lot there. The other thing is just the consistency within the neighborhood. There's a lot of people who aren't as, I'll say the word brave as us to come out here. It takes a lot for us to be out here and speak. But a lot of people on North Shore aren't happy with seeing these large structures. And I don't know, I don't care about this one. Ann puts together some very, very nice homes. This isn't about Ann, it isn't about the people who own, well, it kind of is about the people who own the house. This is their third property that they bought in Sandwich in order to turn around and sell. They aren't here with what they've left behind. Only you guys can say what Sandwich is going to turn into. And if Sandwich doesn't turn into something where we want people to be, where people want to be, then what is it?
I think along those lines too is we cannot prevent people from buying property. We can't, they have the right to invest their money any way that they see how or choose or see fit. However, possibly in the future, we might be able to have some influence as to the size of these houses that go in. And then by the time you buy the property, demolish it, construct it, turn around and sell it, it might potentially, possibly, might not be worth your investment. And it's nothing personal against the family, it's just people with money who are able to do this, buy the property at a reasonable price, and then turn around and sell it for a profit. And like I said, we can't stop them from doing that. They have the right to do it.
And that might be why the third story is even in play here, because it's an extra square foot, and they might be able to get $1,500, $2,000 a square foot for what they're building. And again, I'm not. People have a right to do this sort of stuff, but we also need to protect where we live and what we want it to look like 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 30 years from now. The people who are building this house, they aren't going to be here and they don't care. I don't believe they are going to stay here. They've already sold one that they bought a couple years ago. And they have another house and another property in another area on the shore.
According to Ian, this is only a 2.5-story structure.
Correct, because you're in the roof line on the
It's
third story.
not technically, according to Ian, a 3-story structure.
I'm sorry.
According to building code, yes.
According to Ian's interpretation of the building code, this is only a 2.5-story structure.
However, may I say, first level, he climbs stairs to a second level, you climb stairs now to half a level?
You're right. I mean, a third level can be a half a level, in which event it's not considered to be a full story under the definition in the bylaw. I mean, one way to regulate it is to, if you have a bylaw that allows you to go to 35 feet, they could do what they've done in Mashpee, saying that 35 feet is it. I don't care how high you have to go on pilings or anything else. or you have a bylaw that maybe says 35 feet, but in no event shall you have more than 2 stories, something like that. You know, but that's a bylaw change, requires town meeting change and the whole 9 yards. So there's a whole process that one would have to go through if the town feels that that's a change that they think should be made.
Understood.
Right, we're here just to interpret the laws as they currently exist on the books for the town. And whether somebody can do it or not falls within those parameters. There's really nothing,
Understood, yeah.
you know, and you know that going to town meeting and getting things changed for the town neck district.
Yep.
Good luck.
But the one thing I do see that this board has control over, or at least that I'm learning, and believe me, I only know a small portion, but is it contributing positively to the environment and the community and the structures around it? I think that's something that you guys have control, a decision over as far as.
Well, the critical environment is something that is governed by the Conservation Commission. And the Conservation Commission has approved this project. So if you're concerned about the shore environment in particular, then the Conservation Commission should have taken that into account when they made their decision.
No, we understand, and like I said, we appreciate our voice being able to be heard, and everything taken into consideration, and it truly is greatly appreciated, and we thank you for that, and we hope that the dialogue and the conversation continues.
Well, you guys live out there, so it's up to you guys to get your neighbors together and suggest a potential change to the bylaw if you think that that's something that should be done. Then, you know, you talk to the town planner and you work together to see if you can come up with something that makes sense, that balances your interest and the interest of the property owner.
Right. Yes, we're just one voice, so.
Well, you gotta gather the troops. Well, so, gentlemen, I'm suggesting that we continue this to get revised plans that show that that walkway will be in compliance without the need of a variance. I don't know what your thoughts are.
Okay, I mean, 2-week continuance is reasonable?
So if that would be to the 23rd, I have a scheduling conflict. And we also have to talk to the engineer. Maybe,
All right, so you wanna go out a month?
yeah, could we go to, the first available meeting in October?
October 14th,
It's not the 7th, it's the 4th.
the 14th,
It's the 14th.
the 7th, the second Tuesday of the
I'm
month.
not gonna be here on the 14th.
No.
Good.
Yeah, it's up to you. Do you think Tim can get the plan?
Yeah, I mean,
So our internal discussion here is, talking myself out of a job. If we're down to the one issue, and I'm not presuming how you're gonna vote, Kevin, on this, or anybody else. Ann could appear and present the revised plan without me, so.
we
Fine
need
with me.
it 2 weeks from it.
It would be 2 weeks, so we would have to submit the plan, mine by when?
October 8th, which is a
No, how about
Wednesday.
2
No,
weeks?
if we do it 2 weeks from now.
Yeah, if we did 2
We're
weeks.
doing it 2 weeks, I'm
Yes.
sorry.
Yeah, say we did 2 weeks. You have to have it the Friday before, or
No, we need it by Wednesday, the 17th, close of business.
So there's 1 week.
1 week, no, I better not.
Yeah, I'm not sure that our engineer just got,
Or the 18th, or the 18th, because the meeting packets go out on the Thursday prior to the Tuesday meeting.
so I think we should just go to the October date.
Yeah.
Yeah, our engineer just got back from a lengthy vacation, so
Right.
he's swamped. So if we could request to the 14th, that would be,
Kevin's not here.
Yeah, I might not be here either.
Okay,
Oh, boy.
so now you're looking at October
Well, can
28th.
we,
could we try can we ask for the 16th? I'm
14th.
sorry, the 23rd? Could we ask for the 23rd?
Yeah.
And,
Well, we
and,
try to schedule
and
it.
we'll try to make
If
it,
we need to extend it, we will.
and then if we
all
don't,
right, so the drawing has to be into your hands by,
the 17th,
At the 17th, the end of the day.
okay?
today's what, the 9th?
So we'll make every effort to meet that schedule, and maybe we will be able to. And then if not, I'll submit a letter asking for a further continuance, if that's okay.
That's fine with me. All right, so, can I get a motion to, continue, special permit,
2509?
special permit 2509, until September
23rd,
23rd,
6 p.m.
6 p.m.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Thank you, everyone, for
Thank you.
very welcome.
very,
We have no new business, we have no board discussions, we have no deliberations.
Wait a second.
What do I do now? Oh, signature sheet, sorry.
Yeah, no, we do it.
That's right.
We signed something, didn't
No, that wasn't 3 weeks ago.
we? No, it was 3 meetings ago. Did we sign something, Maureen, not that long ago?
What's that?
Did we sign something not that long ago?
I know.
Was
Well, we have Brendan now. So every time there's a change,
Oh, okay.
anytime there's a change in board composition, we have to, like, say.
So it's not the yearly thing, it's because of that,
Yeah.
Am I okay in blue?
That's fine, any
Okay.
colors, in triplicate, please, yeah,
Passing them down,
thank you.
here we go.
Here's your file. Statement.
Motion to adjourn?
Now I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? All right. Thanks, gang. Have a good night.